electrical services requirements for life safety and firefighting equipment. We're going to go through 24 requirements for a life safety and firefighting equipment or installation. Number one, all power supplies, primary, secondary, and emergency, to life safety and fire protection equipment and their associate control equipment back to the origin of the supply within the building should be regarded as being within the hazard and risk area. Number two, the electrical power supply to life safety and fire protection equipment should be separate from all other circuits in the building so that the power failure to other equipment does not render the installation inoperative. Number three, each connection to the power supply should be via an isolating protective device reserved solely for the life safety and fire protection equipment and independent of any other main or sub-main circuit. The isolating protection device to be fed either from the live side or the dead side of the main isolating device. Number four, where a central control room is provided, monitoring facilities should be provided at the central control room to show as far as is reasonably practicable that power is available up to the final control point, e.g., motor contactor, to all fire safety systems. Number five, the wiring system and installation method shall comply with BSEN 6072-1 or BS 7346-6. The cables shall be fire rated. Okay. Number six, the cable shall be protected against exposure to the fire by separation from any significant fire risk by a wall, partition, or floor with a fire resistance of not less than that required for the building. Number seven, a secondary power supply is essential to reduce the risk of the loss of electrical supply to the fire protection system that are required to operate continuously during a fire. Number eight, the supply needs to be sufficient capacity to maintain supply to all life safety and fire equipment installation. I'll go again. Number eight, the secondary supply needs to be of sufficient capacity to maintain supplies to all fire safety equipment installation. Number nine, the secondary power system needs to be designed to operate safely in fire condition. Number 10, the change over from the primary to the secondary power supply needs to be automatic so that the life safety installation continue operation. Number 11, both the primary and secondary supply to the life safety installation needs to be sufficiently protected against fire and water damage and also separated from each other so that the failure of the cable or equipment, either by mechanical breakdown or damage by fire in any one system, does not affect the other supply. Number 12. Protection against fire may be achieved by choice of cable, choice of route, for example, through protected area or external to the building, or by the provision of additional fire protection. Number 13. The fire procedure of the building do not include the isolation of circuit supplying power to the above mentioned equipment. Number 14. The secondary power supply, independent of the primary power supply to the building, could be either an automatically started generator, which is independent of the primary supply and has sufficient capacity to maintain in operation for at least 3 hours, or a supply from another substation. Number 15. The secondary power supply should be capable of providing the power supply within 15 seconds of the mains failure of the primary supply. Where the alternative power source is a generator, it should be capable of providing the power necessary for at least 3 hours without replenishment of fuel. Where the Number 16, where the secondary electrical supply is to be taken from a separate substation to that supplying the primary electrical supply, the electrical supply to the two independent substations should be taken from two separate high voltage supply and not originate from the same substation. The failure of one substation should not lead to the failure of the other. The two independent substations should be adequately separated. Number 17. Where the substations are located within a building, they serve each substation. I'll come again. Number 17. Where the substations are located within the building they serve, each substation should be enclosed within a fire resisting structure having a minimum of 2 hours fire resistance. The two substations should be located in two separate parts of the building. Number 18. Supply cables from the high voltage substation should enter directly the high voltage switch room and not pass through the building. Okay. Number 19. The two sets of supply cables should be adequately separate from each other to avoid a single fault affecting both supply. Number 20. Whichever secondary power source is provided, the distribution should be organized such that the secondary supply remains live when the remainder of the supply in the building are isolated in an emergency. Number 21. Cables, switchgear, and other equipment transmitting the secondary power supply should be separate from those of the primary supply or be physically protected so that a breakdown or any cause of breakdown on one supply will not lead to the simultaneous failure of the other supply. Number 22. The primary and secondary power supply cables should be terminated in a changeover device located within the plant room, housing the life safety and fire protection equipment. Number 23. The changeover device should automatically effect the transition from the primary to the secondary supply if the primary supply to the particular plant fails. Lastly, number 24, any electrical substation or enclosure containing any distribution board, generator, powered smoke control plant, pressurization unit, communication equipment, and any other equipment associated with life safety and fire protection system should be separate from the building by construction within a durable within a duration within with sorry should be separated from the building by construction with a duration of fire resistance of not less than 2 hours. So these are the 24 requirements for electrical services supplying life safety and fire fighting equipment. We will talk in detail about this requirement in our life safety and fire equipment masterclass.